folks, and welcome back to Concilium Watch. As always, I'm Austin.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are going to talk about all of the new changes and the army update for everything in Infinity. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff out there right now. There was the new fireteam update. We got some new units for certain armies. There's a lot to talk about.
But before we get started with that, we're going to say a huge thank you for getting us to 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. We're so happy that you enjoy our content.
Yeah, obviously we put a lot of effort into these videos, but none of it means anything if nobody watches it. So we are really grateful to have all of you here, and we're especially grateful for all the really kind comments you leave us on all of our videos.
Yes, it makes my heart go pitter-patter. But what do you say, Nathan? I think we just jump right here into it, and let's talk about the new fireteam charts. That's the biggest thing.
So fireteam charts, it's a big change, actually. A lot of times beforehand, you would have these big, crazy fire teams. Like the most notorious would be 4 Fusiliers and a Kamau sniper, right? In the past, you would have a 5-man fire team, and they would just straight up, if you had 3 members, they get +1 burst. If you have 4 members, then they get 6 cents. If it's 5 members, then you get +3 to your BS attack. And it doesn't matter who's in that fire team, it's just all based on the numbers. Now, things are a little different. Now, there's going to be 2 types of fire teams. There's going to be pure fire teams and mixed fire teams. If you have a mixed fire team, you don't get quite as many bonuses as you used to. If you've got a mixed fire team of 3 members, you do get that +1 burst, which is good. When you've got 4 members, you do get the 6 cents, which is good. But the key here is instead of getting +3 to your BS attacks with the 5th member, you only get +1 if you're a mixed fire team. So that Kamau sniper is no longer hitting you on 16s, but now it's down to 14s. So that's mixed fire teams. The pure fire teams do get some extra bonuses to offer like these incentives to bring maybe 3 Fusiliers and a Harris, which is something you would never be able to do in the past, but now you can. For 3 members of a pure fire team, you get +3 to discover. Now that's something that you used to get with the 5-man bonus as well, but that's split only to pure fire teams with 3 members or more. And then the interesting thing is that they've broken out the +3 bonus to the next 2. So we've got 4 members gets BS attack +1, 5 members also gets BS attack +1. So if you combine all of the bonuses together, you get +1 burst, you get the discover +3, you get the 6 cents, and you get +3 to your BS attacks. So if you create a pure fire team, that's how you get the old bonuses.
Basically what has happened if for these mixed fire teams is a giant number crunch. Everything has been toppled. The numbers have gone down.
So it does bring down the power of some of those like big units. Like, I mean, you had the Orc in a Fusilier fire team. They used to hit on 20s, right? Or even if you go even crazier, we used to have the Aquila Guard, which is BS 15. So they were hitting on 21s if they got you out of cover. CB decided that was a little too much. And I think that the trade-offs have been really good for the game. What do you think, Austin?
I think so too. What I'm really liking and like what I've been list building here recently is now all the basic line infantry guys can Harris. So
yeah.
You'll have things that can link with them with a high burst weapon, and so now I've got 2 cheap order fillers running around boosting up my guys that are there.
Yeah. The cool thing about that is if you want to run a fully pure fire team of those units that used to wildcard, so using the Kamau again, if I wanted to spend the points to make a full Kamau fire team, I can still create a Harris of really cheap Fusiliers. So it's sort of like that flip-flop, right? In the past, you used to put a lot of cheap things to boost up one unit in a core, and then you'd have maybe like a more elite Harris. And now, if you want, you can swap them. You can have a really elite core, then like a couple of cheap guys boosting one guy in your Harris team.
Yeah, and a lot of the different changes that have happened, like Sectorial fireteam charts are super interesting. They're super interesting, and I think that's going to lead into our thing. There are multiple armies that now have 2 Harris fire teams.
Yeah, I'm most excited about, for example, Foreign Company, one of the mercenary companies. They got access to 2 Harris teams. So now I can run something like a couple of the A-team, quote-unquote, characters in one Harris, and then put the other 2 in the other Harris, and then have them compete and see who can kill the most or something.
Oh, God. This just makes me sad. We all saw Morats got the 2 Harrises. Winter 4, for you, got 2 Harrises. Onyx and ISS. I'm really excited for the ISS 2 Harris fire team because now I can run 2 Shin Harrises, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that's a pretty nasty combo there, especially if you can boost them with a couple of cheaper guys.
Well, I don't even have to do that, right? Like, I was playing around, and this is probably more of a meme thing, but I can make a core of just the old Quang Shi core, right? I can have the monitor and 4 Quang Shi. They're there for smoke support at that point, because that'd be a pure fire team with the Quang Shi. And so my BS 11 now goes to BS 14, and I get to shoot 2 smoke with my smoke grenade launcher, and then I can run a Shin, a Bayo troop and a Zan Ying lieutenant that's already got sensor, and then the other Shin has got a chain of command pheasant, and then a bounty hunter, 12-point bounty hunter. Go forth, kill things.
That's like the smoke trick army right now.
And I'm really excited to try it out.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I'm personally very, very excited for Winter 4 just because, obviously, yes, 2 Harrises, that's a pretty big deal. But the actual changes to the fireteam charts in general and which units can join what is mind-blowing for some of these armies. Mm-hmm. You know, in the past, there were a bit more restrictions. You would have, like, you could make a quote-unquote Kamau Harris or something like that, right. Or an Orc Harris. But now, in, for example, Winter 4, I've got access to fire teams that are called something different. So we've got the Winter 4 Alpha fire team, which can be either Orcs and the Vargar combined together. Then I've got the Beta fire team, which is really crazy, all the different choices that you have. I can put a Boig in a Harris team, and that's just so exciting. I know if anyone has talked with me in any of the Discord channels that I'm a part of, they'll know that I'm a big Boig fan. I love the fact that I can use the missile launcher, +1 burst, of course, in a Harris now, and I've got 3 missiles coming your way in the active turn.
I want to vomit. But this new Harris stuff also gives other units new life, like the Blackjack and Usaref. You can only ever bring it back to. They could duo, but now you can Harris the Blackjacks.
Yeah, that's really, really nice.
And I can Harris the Ratniks in TAC as well, and they are the second thing to break the 5 dice rule. 6 shots with my AP Spitfire.
So if you want to find these new fireteam charts, there's a couple places you'll need to go. It's different if you're on your computer or if you're on the mobile app. If you're on your computer, it'll be at the top right of where you see your list being built in Army 7. There'll be a button there that says Fireteam Charts. You can just click that and it'll show you everything you need to know. And then if you're on mobile, you'll want to go to the top left of your app where you see the charts symbol. You click on that, you'll see the charts for the sectorial you're in, and you'll also be able to find things like the martial arts tables, the booty charts, and metachemistry as well.
So, like, with all these new Harrises, and we've talked about a bunch of the stuff, there's been a couple of units that have changed. Like, they've got, like, updates and stuff to their profiles. What's some big ones that you've seen so far?
So I think it's got to be Ida Swanson. So she's a merc. She's available in some armies, and some people didn't really take her. It's one of those units that's got a lot of really cool things, a lot of fun items, but she might not be always in a position where she can use all of them, right? Now, I always really enjoyed using Ida just because I go up against you a lot,
Yep.
and she has viral pistol and viral mines. The one thing that I will always say whenever I had Ida on the table is, as long as she can put down one viral mine, then she'll be worth it, right? She'll have her worth. And the problem is because she would start on the table, she doesn't have a marker state or anything. Sometimes she would just die before she gets to put out a mine. No more, because now she has two profiles, and both of them have mine layer on them. So as soon as she starts on the table, she'll start with that viral mine out, and instantly, bam, worth the points for me. And the other thing that changed about her is the fact that she has a fireteam option profile. And in some of my armies, like Drew's, she can join fire teams. And she's just going to tear through things in a fire team because she's got the booty. She could roll up something like an HMG. She's got those awesome the mines, the pistol, and mimetism. And we don't get very much mimetism in fire teams in Drew's. So that's a really big deal for someone who wants to get in close and kill things.
That's fair.
What about you, Austin? Any new profiles for you?
One big change, I think, and I've seen a lot of people ask about it, is my Minutemen. The Minutemen are different now because they have CC attack -3. When it says CC attack -3, that is not a CC attack -3 to them. That is to your opponent. It's kind of like what martial arts level 1 actually does, but it's not martial arts, so it can't be taken away, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice way of giving them a little bonus if you want to take them as your lieutenant, for example, right? Because if you do get attacked by something like a Speculo, that -3 is not going to do a whole lot, but it's a little bit more to keep them safe. And like you said, it can't be canceled by Natural Born Warrior. That's a huge deal.
And I think the Minutemen are going to find a new little home in Usarif, really, because now they can core and harass with the Marauders. The Marauders were the backbone of US Ariadne. They just did. You always cored them. You always harassed them. They're just amazing. Marauders are a fantastic unit. Well, now you can bring Minutemen in there with them. So that gives the Minuteman with the X-Visor and BS Attack Shock on his AP rifle and Light Flamethrower +1 burst for 26 points. He'll throw him in there. That's a BS 13. It's 1 BS extra than the Marauder. That also brings the Minutemen NCO AP Heavy Machine Gun. Bring him in.
Yeah. Now, one thing we didn't actually talk about was we talked about pure and mixed fire teams, but we didn't talk about the keyword. There are some keywords that allow you to count as something else in terms of forming a pure fire team. So just off the top of my head, in Drew's, I've got the Drew's shock teams. That's just a unit. They can form a Drew's fire team. Then I also have things like the Brawlers. Now, a Brawler is not a Drew's, but if you look in the fire team chart, next to the Brawlers, they've got a parentheses and a keyword of Drew's. So that means I can put Brawlers with my Drew's, and they still count as Drew's for the purpose of making a pure fire team.
Yeah. So, for Cosmoflot, for instance, we have the rocket fire teams. They can harass and core, and you have to have a minimum of 1 rocket. It doesn't matter if something counts as a rocket. You have to have 1 rocket, actual rocket, in there. But the new mechanics count as rockets. Patchers count as rockets. Volcalax count as rockets.
That's pretty sweet. That's a lot of pain.
I love that the Volcalax got the rocket keyword. I'm really happy about it, and they're still wild cards.
Yeah, that's really nice. You actually mentioned a couple of new units there. Why don't we talk about some of the new, brand new units that got added?
Oh, brand new units? Okay, let's gush about Cosmoflot for just a minute, if you will allow me. I'm really excited about all of the new units that came with Cosmoflot. Patchers, new heavy infantry. They are hackable. You'll get over it. I know we're not used to having hackable things. You'll get over it. This thing is amazing. He's got immunity, continuous damage. So he's fire immune. He does have a battle ravage state, effectively giving him 2 wounds. But what I really like is how cheap he is. for 3 armor at 27 and 22 points. So the 27 points has a Vulcan shotgun plus 1 burst. So that's going to be 4 shots with the Vulcan shotgun in a Harris or a core. The other one, the 22-point one, is a heavy flamethrower plus 1 burst. I mean, 3 heavy flamethrowers, Bo, and 3 adhesive launcher plus 1 burst. That's 3 adhesive launchers.
Glue them down and set them on fire.
But it's the incendiary grenades that I'm really excited about. Grenades continuous damage. That's disgusting, and I love it.
They've got pretty high fizz, too, don't they?
They've got 13 fizz, and in the battle ravaged state, they go down to fizz 12.
Okay.
Really happy about the patchers. I think the patchers are going to end up making it into a lot of that rocket fire teams, just because you want to get in close to something and just beat them down with 3 heavy flamethrowers. Why would?
Yeah, watch out for that unit in the objective room, that's for sure.
Yes, I was just about to say that. It's like, look at Panic Room and the Armory. Oh, it's just going to lay absolute waste as long as it doesn't get isolated by a random pitcher or something. I think the Stranic Outer Patrol, they're all specialist operatives. These are really cool guys. The T2 boarding shotgun, if I'm not mistaken, is the third one in the game, a T2 boarding shotgun, which I think is really cool. But it's the Doctor, it's the Stranic Doctor that really has me excited, because you can now core things, because the Stranic, if you'll go and look on Cosmoflot into the fireteam charts, Stranics are wild card. They can just fit anywhere. So now I've got a linkable Doctor where in whatever team that I want, and he's only 19 points. And it's not a bad Doctor with a submachine gun, a flash pulse, and a light riot stopper.
Yeah, that's a really potent combo there.
I love it. And he's armed 3. He's armor 3 Doctor.
Guess he's got to tank a few hits on his way to the wounded.
Hell, he's got to, but, you know, I really like the Stranic. I think you're going to end up bringing that Doctor profile the most, just because you can link it with a Harris. You can link it with that core to be a more durable Doctor. I think it's going to be really, really nice. The Mechanic.
Yeah.
Mechanic is a really good profile. We finally got a Mechanic. Along a good engineer. I mean, on top of the Ermendinos, I do not want to discount Ermendinos. They are fantastic engineers. But the Mechanics, the Flight Engineer Corps, I'm really excited about, because, number one, this is a really good profile for an engineer. Okay? They're both 17 points. One is a mine layer for no SWC whatsoever. The one that's not mine layer has a rifle. It's fine. D-charges and a Panzerfaust. That's only 17. An AP heavy pistol. It's only 17 points, and he's got 2 armor. So on the high side of light infantry in terms of armor. Then the mine layer option has a submachine gun, D-charges, and EM mines. So you can put EM mines back there in your back line. I think that's really nice.
That's really good.
And he got a little remote to go with him, the electronic. I want to laugh for a minute at the Mechanic and the electronic. I mean, it's real imaginative there, right? Let's just put some K's in there. It makes it work.
Right.
But it's only 2 points.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
He's slower.
Only 2 points. He is slower. But, I mean, you're not really taking these guys for the speed. You're taking them for the ability to spread your ability to repair things. And you could Doctor, too.
Yeah. Helps out the Stranic because he's a Doctor. It helps out the Mechanic. And the Ermendino. Yeah, he's not going to get cover if he's linked with the Ermendino. But he's got 2 orders all to himself to just keep moving. And that's nothing to sneeze at. The last new unit is the Chernobog Armored Detachment. Ugh! Their RM-100 lives, and his name is Chernobog. I'm so happy we finally got a tag.
I've been hoping for this for a long time. Not even for my sake, because I know I'll have to face it, but I've been hoping for it for you this whole time, and I'm so glad it's finally here.
And it's absolutely disgusting. BS attack plus 1 damage. They got courage, unlike nomad tags, so be happy. dodging on a 9, immunity shock, attack awareness. He's got transmutation structure, so another battle ravaged state. Not upset at it. Gizmo Kit is on a Fizz 9 as well, though, so a little bit harder to fix.
At least from range.
Yeah, at least from range. But transmutation structure, so I got 2 regular structure, and then it goes into the battle ravaged state. And the battle ravaged state still isn't bad at all. You're losing a point of BS from 14 to 13. You're losing 2 inches of movement on your second set of movement. So instead of going 6'4", it's 6'2". Fizz goes from 17 to 15, but that's not that big a deal, especially when you're getting Gizmo kitted from a distance on a 9 anyway. Whip stays the same. Arm goes down from Armor 8 to Armor 6, and then it goes BTS 6 to BTS 3. It's still a size 7 tag with an AP heavy machine gun and a heavy rocket launcher +1 burst and chest mines, and an AP close combat weapon for 72 points. It may seem expensive, especially for it being low tech, but you got a tag. You can hush. It's great, and it looks amazing. And the pilot ain't bad either. I think it's fantastic. It looks amazing. I cannot wait. I'm going to be super happy about it to get my hands on it and to actually put it on the table.
Yes, it's going to be quite the sight to behold when you see Ariadne rolling up with a tag.
Tag in the front to rock in the back, baby. Let's go!
So we're not going to talk about all of the units that were brand new, because obviously Morat's got a big update. That will be for a much later video. But I did want to touch on a couple other little units that aren't Ariadne that are brand new. We've got the Raven Eye Officer, which is an O12 unit that's actually available in certain other factions as well. The Raven Eye is actually pretty solid. It's a really cheap deployment zone defender. It's 12 points. BS isn't amazing, it's 11 points. But it's also got willpower of 13, which is pretty nice because this guy is also a Fort Observer.
Yes.
So this is someone you might keep in your deployment zone to defend things, and then maybe when you get the chance, send him out towards a button. I've mentioned that this guy's good at guarding your DZ, but I haven't explained why. So he is a mine layer, and he comes with EM mines, or cyber mines. I don't know if I'd ever bring the cyber mine profile.
No.
But the EM mines are where it's all at. If you've got Kodali coming in right outside of your deployment zone, she does not want to get hit with a EM mine. Because even if it's a non-hackable unit, they'll still get isolated, which can immediately shut down any sort of alpha strike that's about to wreck your deployment zone. Speaking of EM, they've got the Emerat as well, which is a direct template weapon that hits them with EM. So you can sacrifice 12 points to save all, 288 of your other points? And I would definitely take that trade.
Yeah, no, I would just take him just because he's got the mine layer as a whole, and then I can just end up using him as a flash bot. As in Ariadne, we don't have flash bot, so he's a 12-point flash bot for me.
Yeah, and you've got the AP or the shock. If you've got like a dogged warband coming at you, you can shock them dead.
Yep.
It's a really solid little unit that's obviously it's not going to be game changing, but for some armies, I mean, I'll take this guy definitely in military orders. And actually, speaking of military orders, I can bring up the other 2 units I wanted to talk about. We've got a character that some people like to make fun of his name. His name is Kyle Hawkins. So he's a Knight Hospitaller. I will probably be calling him Hawkins. He's your standard Hospitaller Knight, but he's got CC attack shock in addition to his DA CCW. He's also a specialist operative, which is really awesome. It means that you don't always have to rely on the Hospitaller doctors to be your specialist every time. And he has some really amazing weapons for military orders. He's got a multi-marksman rifle and a multi-pistol. So he's bringing all the ammo types for multiple ranges. He's the whole package. He's someone who can be your main gunfighter. He can hit someone in CC. He can press the button with his Whip 13. I mean, that's all you could really ask for in a character for military, for anything in Pano, honestly.
I just think he's a good character overall, and I think that's like me and you have talked about this before. I think that's what Pano suffers from the most is not having really good characters. Like, you got some characters that are really good, but then a lot of characters don't fit very well. But I think Kyle actually fits, and he can do a lot of good things for you.
We also got another unit, the Military Order Curators. This is basically replacing our old Military Order version of the Machinist. It's literally the exact same profile, the exact same cost, with a little bit more CC. So it's got CC 15 instead of CC 13. So that's a big, giant deal there.
You gotta fit the aesthetic, Bo.
Yes, exactly. She will slap those D charges on you two better than any other Machinist will. But we did pay for that by losing access to the normal Machinist. So in military orders, you now can only take the Curator, but we get to bring the Curator in multiple fire teams in the military orders. So you can bring a Curator in a military orders fire team, either a Harris or a Corps. So now you can bring a Teutonic Knight who is very prone to being hacked and have a engineer just chilling right next to him to fix him up. Now, that Curator is also in Winter Force, so Winter 4 is definitely the army to play if you really like engineers, because I think I counted up the other day, we get one Machinist in Winter 4, we get the Curator, so that's 2. Then we, of course, have the Karhu, which are AVA 5. So you could have 7 engineers if you really wanted to in Winter 4.
Oh my goodness.
They're really going to make sure that Yodam is full strength at all times. Now, one final thing I wanted to mention, just because I am a Pano fanboy, and we did talk about characters being one of Pano's weaknesses at times. Uma Sorensen. Uma Sorensen was a character that was very much disliked by many Pano players just because she had a lot of things, but she was definitely paying for them, right? Like, she was over 30 points, and she had a breaker combi rifle and 2 submachine guns, and she had a camouflage profile, but the camouflage had to start in your deployment zone. So it's like, I don't know. Like, and I don't even think she was a specialist either. So it's like, what role is she playing? Was the big question. That has completely changed. It's gotten to the point where now, because of this update, I find myself making very few lists that don't have Uma in it, because Uma's camouflage profile gained 4 deployment plus 8 inches. So now Winter 4 finally has a midfield camo marker that is not the Beast Hunter, which is not a specialist, or the Kunai Solutions Ninja, which also is not a specialist. So we finally have a specialist operative that can operate in the midfield with camouflage. So I'm so excited about that. She's 30 points for that profile. That's the one that I will be taking a lot. But she also has her fireteam option profiles that does not have the SMG, but rather has the breaker combi. And that breaker combi is +1 damage. So she's doing damage 14 at half your BTS. I mean, I definitely could see myself taking her as her normal, like, FTO profile. I've taken her as my lieutenant a couple times, because sometimes having the Whip 13 can mean all the difference in winning that face-to-face lieutenant role at the beginning to take first turn.
You never take first turn. You always take second turn. Don't lie to them.
I play very defensively, so I like taking table side. But being able to win that lieutenant role is really, really nice. And obviously Whip 13 is as good as you could hope in Pano.
No, I think Uma's change has really helped her out and is doing really, really well. And I'm looking forward to fighting her.
Yeah, I have actually used her in a couple games so far over these past couple of weeks, and she has performed very well because she's in the middle of the table, pressing buttons, climbing up buildings to hunt down units that are hacking my other things. She's basically Pano's native version of Dart, and even Dart isn't a specialist. So she's got everything that I could have ever asked for when I was looking at her profile in the past and saying, this is what it needs. And it sounds like CB is listening to some of our requests.
Hopefully it will continue and it'll just get better from here. I am not upset with any of the changes put out so far. Well, I can't say that completely. But we won't talk about that here. Won't talk about my poor Murph in Caledonia. I'll be just sad by my lonesome.
I think it's important to mention that with any big change that happens game-wide, there's things to keep in mind. The way that we used to play might change, but there's new things to explore. And I think that the worst thing a game can do is get boring, right? And these changes definitely make things interesting again. And maybe it'll take some time for us to learn the new combos that are really amazing. But I think that that's really exciting, is to be able to go out into this new world of fire teams. And it'll take a while to know whether or not your opponent is is that actually pure, or should we look it up? Or it'll take a while for me at least to memorize that stuff again.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to really get used to when you're putting something on the table and and you start handing out the little fire team tokens for Harris and Core. Be this is a pure Harris and this is a mixed Core,
right? Or
vice versa. So worth getting into, and it'll take some change to really get used to that. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all of it. What fire teams are you really excited to try out, though, Nathan?
Okay, so there's a couple specific ones that I'm really looking forward to. I've briefly mentioned the Boig earlier. I'm very excited to run either the Mark 12 or the missile launcher in a Harris. I can do the Boig missile launcher, for example. I can team them up with the Infirmerer Doctor. Normally, many people would not say the Infirmerer is a good pick, but it's 1 point cheaper than a Karhu Paramedic, and if I'm going to be really far away, I might want to have that command token option to re-roll that Doctor roll. So we've got the Boig missile launcher for long range. We've got the Doctor Infirmerer with a combi rifle for mid-range, anyone that gets kind of close. And just to round it out with someone who's a super cheap specialist, you can take Agnes. So I'm comfortable putting that Boig missile launcher on ARO and running out and shooting things with 3 missile launchers.
Oh, I dread fighting that, to be totally honest with you. that sounds terrible to me.
Well, what about you? Is there a fire team that you're interested in?
Well, I'm really excited about the bike fire teams. There's been a bunch of armies that now bikes can harass. So in JSA, the Kuroshi Rider and the Arigatos can harass. The Mavericks can harass. There's 2 Mavericks and a 112 Doctor can harass. That's the same with the Dynamos. They can harass as well. So I'm really excited to try out the bike harasses. Those are going to be really cool. Going back to Ariadna for a second, I'm really excited to put the Cosmos Soldat into a Harris because we were all really upset for a while. Cosmos Soldat could only duo. They could not join the Frontovix. Frontovix could only join them. But the Cosmos Soldat APHMG +1 damage is going to be awesome with a Frontovic Engineer and the Stranic Doctor. So no matter what, we can try to keep the Cosmos Soldat continuing to move because we have a Doctor and an Engineer all in one Harris.
That's awesome. I think a big deal for Starmada is the ability to put the Epsilon, which is an MSV2 and Mimetism medium infantry unit, you can now put that in a Harris, and maybe even a core actually, but it's going to be a mixed core in Starmada. But the biggest thing that a lot of people said that Starmada lacked was that high burst, long range weapon in a fire team. And now the Epsilon has brought that to Starmada. On top of that, the Epsilon gained climbing plus, so now it can absolutely keep up with the beta troopers that it's going to be linking up with, or the Nyoka. It's just a really amazing update for Starmada, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think Starmada is going to be really cool. I think it's really nice for them. Hawk Islam, I think that in Kapu Kelki, the Azrael being able to Harris is disgusting. I'm super happy about it. This big size 5 continuous damage AP heavy machine gun can Harris. Ew. Fjorbach +1 burst can Harris. Gross.
That is very, very, very scary to go up against.
If you get hit by that Fjorbach, you're just gonna die. Just expect to die.
Yeah.
Yuching, Jujax. I'm so happy Jujax can Harris and core without having to have Shang-Chi's in there. I'm super excited about that.
You've also got that pretty cool Shaolin fire team, right?
Oh, yes, the Shaolin fire team. So, new thing, this is a similar thing in, I think, Bakunin, I believe. But, so the Shaolin fire team is a Shaolin and Lian Kai, or Jing Kuo. Members of this fire team are considered regular, while Lian Kai or Jing Kuo are part of the fire team. So you can grab Jing Kuo, who is just fine point man. Or point girl, point woman, as it were, point woman. Jing Kuo with her multi-rifle and her chain colt. And then grab two Shaolin. Grab two Shaolins. Deep double action. That's 48 points. That's a 48-point Harris to just go out and kill things.
And throw smoke.
And Jing Kuo's a specialist, so she can push all the buttons.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty. To be able to turn those like super cheap guys into regular orders.
Yeah, it's pretty gross because Nomads has something similar in Bakunin with the Taskmaster and the Morlocks. So you can bring a Taskmaster heavy machine gun and then two Morlocks. Obviously, only the chain rifle ones will do, 6-point chain rifles. But that's 60 points. Heavy machine gun, and now the Morlocks can throw smoke to help the Taskmaster get up the field because it's like one of the only things that don't have mimetism -6 in the Sectorial with all of the reverence.
You can also turn that Morlock's assault pistol into burst 5 that way.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I think the Taskmaster being able to Harris with the Morlocks, but if the Taskmaster happens to leave, the Morlock will then go back to irregular.
Yes. But at that point, it might be worth it because you could use the Taskmaster to get them up close, then maybe even break it voluntarily so that when it's your next turn, now they're already in the midfield and they're just that much closer to go run at things and blow them up with their CCWs or their chain rifles or assault pistols.
I agree, and that's exactly what I expect people to do with Morats now that the Osnat and Gakis can Harris and they can be regular because of the Osnats again. Get them up the field because Osnats can throw smoke so easily, and they're all so fast, or with the smoke grenade launcher if you really want to, even though their BS is not that great. But the Gakis are the Pretas are considered regular, and they're already fast. Get them to the midfield and just let them explode at that point. Find something to get in close combat with and let them explode. There's a bunch of good changes. There's a bunch of good Harrises. Now, I think that's what's going to change the most. Like, you're going to find more fire teams, like core fire teams. You're going to bring more expensive fire team options. There's a couple of fire teams that are going to be mixed or that are going to be really good, and then you can bring like your all Kamal core in Varuna, and it's just super deadly. Everything there is just disgusting, but you're paying for it.
Exactly. So you're getting the power of the N3 Kamau or early N4 Kamau, but you are paying for it now, which I think is fair.
Yeah, I think it's very fair. I'm not upset with any of it. I think it's all going to be good. It's going to bring new ideas for your list building. Like, oh, I can actually do this. Oh, this will be fun to try. This is something I've never been able to try before. I can now try it out now. Don't be afraid to try any of the new stuff. Don't go with how you used to play and just be bad that it doesn't work that way anymore. You can still do that. It's just not going to be necessarily, depending on the faction that you play, as strong as it used to be. Figure out a new way to play. If the game doesn't evolve, then you won't evolve either.
And with that, I think it's about time that we should announce. Obviously, there's a ton of changes going on right now, and a lot of the videos that we've created in the past couple of years, they might not be as relevant as they used to be, but we still have some good content, and we still want to make more content for you. So I think with this video, we're going to be doing sort of a Concilium Watch 2.0 sort of deal. It's going to be the same channel, same everything, but as you will have seen at the beginning of this video, there's a new intro, a new opening, a little bit of an Easter egg. I don't know if anyone noticed. You can tell me in the comments if you ever noticed. This whole time, our logo has been upside down in the opening of all of our videos, and I realized it a few months ago, and I have not been able to unsee it ever since. And I'm so surprised that nobody's said anything in the comments.
I would not have noticed if you hadn't bring it up, Nathan, to be honest with you.
I mean, maybe people just felt bad for us. They didn't say anything.
That's how we got all the subs. They felt bad for us as pity subs. But we are going to be going over we're going to be revamping our videos because a whole bunch of things have changed, and we're going to start with the Army Builder Briefs. I feel like those are the most prevalent now, especially with the fireteam changes and the new fire teams that you can create, especially like new basic line troops being able to harass and stuff you can do with that. The Army Builder Briefs are going to be our first priority in revamping, and we're going to put those out as quickly as possible. You should life gets in the way. It has gotten in the way before, but we're going to try to have one out every single Friday for you guys, alternating between factions so we can get everybody. I think we've got a really good plan in place to get these out in a timely manner.
Yeah, and we're also going to be taking a look at some of our bat reps again. Obviously, we love playing this game as much as talking about it. So we haven't been doing as many bat reps just because we've been playing in person a lot more since stores have started opening up again. And of course, I'm a workhorse, so I'm trying to build the community here locally. But we have heard you. I've seen the comments of people asking for more bat reps and our crazy list ideas that we come up with to face each other with. So those will be making a return sometime soon.
Yep, yes they will. Super excited to try out new things. And gotta beat Nathan. Hashtag beat Nathan. We will be doing the faction overviews. These videos will be on our back burner a little bit because it's going over all of the units. The units as a whole haven't changed a ton. There are some that are outliers, of course, but the basic feel for each individual unit and how you're going to want to end up playing the faction as a whole hasn't changed that much, so overviews will be on the back burner from here. We will get to them. I promise we will get to them and get to the overviews that we still haven't done, but we want to try to get for all of the armies that are out right now to get all of the ABBs and to put some new bat reps out when we have the time. That is the priority, and we hope you watch all of it. Stay tuned, guys. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting us. we're really excited to put out new content. We're really excited for the game and anything else that Corvus Belli happens to be putting out here in the near future with all these awesome updates. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.